Hello there guys and welcome back to 100% Chelsea for my preview of the Chelsea vs Arsenal game, with the kickoff being on Sunday afternoon at 1:30 PM UK time, obviously at Stamford Bridge. And I thought it would just be adequate to wear the shirt in which we beat Arsenal 6-0, because, you know, Vanta, as people like to say. But actually, before getting into the preview itself, and on a lot more serious note as well, I just want to say that our thoughts from all of us at the channel go out to those affected by the incident that happened at Parsons Green Station today. So yes, like I said, all of our thoughts go out to those people affected, and you know, it's just terrible that these things just keep happening basically. We have to be a bit more upbeat, and getting into the preview, obviously talking about opposition, talking about Arsenal. So Arsenal currently do sit in 11th with 6 points from 4 games, beating Leicester 4-3 at home on the opening day of the season and Bournemouth 3-0 last weekend. Between that, they lost 1-0 to Stoke away and got absolutely hammered by Liverpool, losing 4-0 at Anfield. Compared to that, if you don't know, we currently sit in 3rd, 1 point of both Manchester clubs. Arsenal, as most of you know, are in the Europa League this season rather than the Champions League, after only finishing 5th last season. And last night they played against the FC Köln, or in English FC Cologne, who are currently bottom of the Bundesliga with 0 points. Arsenal won the game 3-1 after going 1-0 down early on, and basically the Cologne fans took over the Emirates. But they rested a lot of their players, to be fair. A lot of their players that will start against us didn't feature in that game, or at least didn't start. I think only Bellerin and Monreal started, both against Bournemouth last weekend and last night against Cologne. Alexis Sanchez played the full game yesterday, but didn't play the full game against Bournemouth. So I would be a little bit surprised if he did play, you know, if he started against Chelsea. Obviously, he will come on, most definitely. But I would be surprised if he started, and that will obviously be an advantage for us. So although we have lost the last 2 meetings against Arsenal in the FA Cup final last May, and obviously the Community Shield just over a month ago, and we definitely want to get revenge for those 2 results, because, you know, we don't want to lose 3 times in a row to them. Our home record against them has been very, very strong in the last few years. The last time that we actually didn't beat Arsenal at Stamford Bridge was almost 6 years ago, in October 2011, when we lost 5-3 to Arsenal. We've been very, very good against Arsenal at Stamford Bridge, very successful, so let's hope that theme continues basically. So, as most of you would know as well, last season, towards the end of the season, they switched to the 3-4-3, obviously the same formation that we like to use, that we've used basically all of last season. So I expect them to use that again, even though they switched to a 4 at the back in the second half against Cologne, if I, you know, understood it correctly and saw it correctly basically. So I reckon they'll probably go with that formation, you know, with the 3-4-3 again against us. As much as we like to laugh at Arsenal, about Arsenal when they lose 4-0 to Liverpool, or, you know, finish outside the top 4, you know, stuff like that, they're still a strong team. I mean, they beat us only like 5 weeks ago. Yes, it was only on penalties, and probably wouldn't have happened if Pedro wouldn't have gotten sent off, but they still beat us. So we have to be very much on it on Sunday. We have to make sure we get the win, because like I said, we don't want to lose 3 times in a row to them. But getting into Antonio Conte's press conference, and it started off a bit weird already with that Steve guy. I always forget his surname. That's always there in the press conference. It's the club representative, basically. He started off with Conte's in some sort of pain, so they want to keep the press conference short. Not sure what kind of pain he's in, but apparently Conte's in some pain. So, Antonio, hope you get better soon. Also, Conte said, like I did at the beginning, before getting into the press conference, he said his thoughts and the club's thoughts are with the people affected by the incident on the tube, obviously. But then they went into football, obviously. He talked about the last few games, he talked about rotation. He said the answer of his players in the last few games has been very positive, both by the players that played on the weekend in the league and also by the players that played in the Champions League. Then he was asked about Hazard and obviously talked about him. He said for sure he's improving and is very close to being totally fit, but says again that he has to make the best decision for the team and the player, and you still have to be patient with him. Then he spoke about Gary Cahill. Obviously, he is now back from his 3-game suspension after receiving that straight red card against Burnley, and obviously played midweek against Karabakh as well. Conte said he played very well against Karabakh, but he also said he has another day to reflect and make the decision on the game against Arsenal. I'm not sure if I agree 100% that he played very well against Karabakh. It was alright. Not very well. Anyway, speaking of Arsenal, he said they have a very good team. It's always a massive game against them. Anything can happen. We must pay great attention as we play against a rival. Basically talked about the same thing that I talked about earlier. Arsenal changed their formation during yesterday's game, but Conte doesn't expect you know, Arsenal to change their formation against Chelsea. Then he spoke about recent meetings with Arsenal, and Conte just said he hopes that we finish the game with 11 players and then the best team will win. Slight hint that if we didn't get, you know, players sent off, we probably would have won both the FA Cup final and the Community Shield. Not sure I 100% agree with that, because I can't remember all too much about the FA Cup final anymore, But, you know, that's what he said anyway. Then he was asked about Arsene Wenger, because he's been under criticism and whatnot, and Conte just said, you know, he doesn't care about their problems. We talk about ourselves, and they can talk about their problems, because whenever we talk about their problems, we lose. So we'll just talk about us, which I think is good. You should never talk about any other teams, because who cares? Then we got an injury update on Danny Drinkwater, and Conte said it's very unlikely that he will be back before the international break, which is coming up early November, I think. He said it's a pity because Danny Drinkwater was starting to improve his physical condition and also adapt to his new team. Won't be seeing Drinkwater for a while either, which is obviously a bit annoying when you sign someone on deadline day, then he's on the bench for one game, and then he's injured for basically like a month. And the last question of the press conference was that Cesc Fabregas made a joke basically that Morata should now start scoring with his feet as well. Conte didn't know about it, but found it quite amusing, it seemed, and basically just said he doesn't mind which part of his body Morata scores with, as long as he finds the net. You know, as obviously Morata has scored all of his 3 Chelsea goals that he scored so far, all with his head. Me personally, I agree with Cesc, time to score some goals with your feet as well. Now coming to Chelsea, talking about my predicted lineup, how I think the game will go, and also my match prediction. So basically there's 3 main questions to talk about. Number 1 is, will we go with the 3-4-3 or with the 3-5-1-1? That's number 1 question. Number 2 is, will Gary Cahill come straight back into the team? And number 3 is, will Eden Hazard start? Talking about the formation, as we all know, we played the 3-5-1-1 against Spurs and won the game. We also kind of played the 3-5-1-1 against Leicester last week. Although Fabregas was on the wing a lot as well, so it was more of a mixture between 3-4-3 and 3-5-1-1. We still kind of played it. Now, why did we use the 3-5-1-1 against Spurs? Especially when we only had one real fit central midfielder, and that wasn't Conte. With obviously Cesc Fabregas suspended and Bakayoko not yet fully fit. Bakayoko obviously did play the game, as we all know, played the full 90 minutes, and David Luiz shifted forwards into the central of midfield. But why did we do that? Because last season, although we beat them at the Bridge and in the FA Cup semi-final, in all 3 games that we played against Spurs, their midfield basically overpowered ours. And that gave them an advantage in all of the 3 games. Maybe the least so in the FA Cup semi-final, but even at the Bridge, they overpowered our midfield, in my opinion, if I remember correctly. But the question is Arsenal's midfield capable of overpowering Bakayoko and Conte? I very much doubt it. I think Bakayoko and Conte together can handle their midfield just fine, without Fabregas or David Luiz in midfield alongside them. But in my opinion, they're still too good to start Cesc Fabregas next to Conte in the midfield too. So if Conte prefers to go with the 3-4-3, I'm 100% sure there will be Bakayoko and Conte. That's what I'd go with. But coming to the second question, on Gary Cahill, I'm not sure. It's difficult. On the one hand, I have a feeling that Conte will just put him straight back in, especially after saying that he played very well against Karabakh, which, like I said, I don't necessarily agree with. On the other hand, Terry was kept in last season, picked up that injury away at Swansea when we drew 2-2, and he never got back into the team again. So maybe something very similar will happen to Gary Cahill this year. So I'd prefer it. So I'll say Rudiger will start in the back 3, even though I'd actually prefer Christensen over Rudiger and Gary Cahill. But let's be honest, Christensen won't start. And finally, on Eden Hazard, see, I might be in the minority of Chelsea fans here, but I don't think he will start. And to be honest, I'm not even sure I want him to start either, because Pedro and Willian have both played quite well recently, especially Willian, and Pedro's goal against Karabakh was quality as well, although he didn't have the greatest of performances against Leicester. And Hazard still doesn't look 100% fit. You know, he isn't 100% fit, according to Antonio Conte. As I think a best weapon against Arsenal are balls in behind, either over the defence or along the floor, obviously through the gaps of their defence. I'm not sure Hazard can handle that much sprinting just yet. Yes, he can obviously do just fine for, say, 30 minutes, maybe even come on at half-time, or, you know, after 50, 55 minutes, something like that. But I'm not sure whether he can handle doing it for 60 minutes, you know, so I'm not sure whether we should start him. But running you through the lineup that I would go with, so I would go with the 3-4-3. Like I said, obviously Thibaut Courtois in goal. My back 3 would be Cesar Spilicueta, David Luiz and Antonio Rudiger. The wing backs, you know, basically will change again. I'm pretty sure it will be Victor Moses on the right wing back. Again, Alonso will obviously stick on the left wing back position. The 2 centre midfielders, like I said, I think will be Timu Bakayoko and N'Golo Kante. And the front 3, Willian, Morata and Pedro. You know, like I said, it could be Gary Cahill in there. It could be the 3-5-1-1. It could be Eden Hazard starting. I don't know. That's just what I think Conte will go with, and also like a combination of what I think Conte will go with and what I'd go with, basically. So that's what that is. So what I said earlier basically already kind of tied in to how I think the game will go. So like I said, those through balls, those in behind balls of Arsenal defence, I think, our biggest attacking threat. Watching the Liverpool versus Arsenal game, it sure looked like exactly those balls and attacking them with pace was Arsenal's backline's biggest struggle. Maybe they will have learned from their mistakes against Liverpool, but let's be honest, Arsenal rarely learn from their mistakes, do they? Like, you know, if you think back about the last, 10 seasons? So what else is important for us in that game? A few things, obviously. Keep Lacazette quiet. He's not done all too well in the league, but he scored 2 goals. He obviously scored last weekend against Bournemouth. He scored in his first game against Leicester as well. So it's important to keep him quiet. Our back three will have the handfuls with him. You know, keep him from scoring. He basically scored another goal against Stoke, but then was ruled offside. It was just about offside. It was a bit of a harsh decision. So he is a good player. He has that pace. He is quite strong as well. He seems to be good in the air, although he's rather short. So we have to watch out for a lot of things, but I'm confident that our back three can do that. Moses as well will have to have a very, very strong game to keep Kolasinac, obviously Arsenal's new signing from Schalke, quiet. But also put him under pressure when we are attacking. Because, you know, he's very good going forward. He's solid defensively. He's very, very strong. You know, he's basically a younger version of Branislav Ivanovic. You know, that's what he is. Maybe faster. I wouldn't mind Ivanovic on Sunday against Kolasinac. That would be one hell of a battle. I think that he could even do very well against Kolasinac, not going to lie. But Moses will have his work cut out on Sunday, definitely, because the physicality of Kolasinac, although Moses is everything but weak, you know, Kolasinac is still very strong, so Moses will have, you know, will have to have a very good game, like I said. And obviously, once Sanchez does come on, or if he starts, obviously, he's always their biggest threat. He will always be their biggest threat as long as he's there. So he has to be taken out of the game no matter what. You know, just man mark him, whatever, just keep him out of the game, because the goal he scored against Cologne yesterday, basically running backwards already, curling it into the top corner, curling it into the side netting. It's just naughty. So we have to stop him from doing things like that. Coming to my score prediction, I will go with the same result that what we beat them by last season. A 3-1 win to us. Although it wouldn't surprise me massively if they received another hammering like they did at Anfield. You know, if they received another hammering by us. Maybe 6-0. Like this shirt. Oh, that would be lovely, wouldn't it? Imagine that. Imagine beating them 6-0 again. That would be incredible. I very much doubt that. But would just be incredible. Anyway, that's it from me. Leave me all of your thoughts down in the comment section below. Leave me your score predictions. Leave me your predicted lineups. Basically, leave me your answers to my 3 main questions. 3-4-3 or 3-5-1-1. Hazard to start and Gary Cahill to come straight back into the team. Leave me your thoughts on those 3 questions. Anything else you have thoughts on, anything else you want to comment on, leave it down in the comment section below. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you haven't already. Massively do appreciate that. Check out my social media links, which you can see somewhere over here. Laos1507 on Instagram and Twitter. Massively appreciated if you follow me there. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Up the Chelsea. And I'll see you next time.